So let's talk a little bit about reading assignments. One of the things that is, I feel, the most challenging thing to do perhaps in a math course, and this is true whether you're a math major that's on the cusp of graduating or whether you're sort of just starting out in an intermediate algebra course like ours. One of the hardest things to do in math is read math, right? Read a math book. And so my philosophy behind this is reading is very important. It gives you that exposure to sort of how to understand the material for the first time. You get worked out examples, practice problems, and so forth that you can work on. But I also believe that reading math is especially hard when you do it alone. And so the reading assignments I've set up for the semester are what I call social reading assignments. And the idea behind a social reading assignment is that, I'm going to jump into Blackboard here and jump into our first topic, arithmetic. If I jump down to the reading assignment for 1.1, I'm just going to click on it real quickly here. What pops up is an online textbook. So the textbook we're using this semester is an online book. It's actually currently in beta, so it's in development right now. That means that there are a couple of sections in it where we have to use a different online book for, but most of our material is in this online text resource called Orca, developed out in Oregon at Portland Community College. And because it's online, that means that this is going to be the spot where I'm going to be able to interact with you in conversation. You're going to be able to interact with one another in conversation right here in the margins of the textbook. So how that works is when you do a reading assignment, you'll jump right into the topic. And when you come across a passage that you either find is especially interesting, especially important, where you can especially see the connections between this material and other material that you've seen, either in this course or in other courses, and maybe an application that you find especially important or interesting, or maybe even most importantly, if you run across something that you find especially challenging, confusing, perplexing on a first read, then what I want you to do is to annotate it. So what that would look like would be, let's say I read this and it says, if we're adding two numbers that have opposite signs, two people tugging the rope are opposing each other. Okay, I'm not quite sure about that, so I'm going to highlight it. And when I highlight it, it pops up a little tooltip that allows you to choose annotate or highlight. And for our course, you'll choose annotate, because what that will do is it will pop up a little tool called hypothesis over in the right-hand column. And this is a tool where you're going to be able to add a comment, ask a question, and you'll be able to be visible to everybody in the class to interact with. Right? So they can see what comments that you're making and they can reply to them, or they can read the comments that you're making and they can be edified by them as well. So it adds all of our voices in the margin of this textbook. The first time that you do this, you're going to have to actually sign up for an account. So for that, you'll create a free account, and I have some explanations for how to do that. I'm going to walk you through it in just a minute. And once you've logged in with your account, there's one more thing that you have to remember to do before you actually post your comment or post your question, and that is to actually select our class's reading group within it. So the first time you do this, and we're going to walk through this in a minute, I'm going to ask you to enroll in our class reading group, and that just makes sure that the comments and the questions and the resources that you post here are only visible by other people in our class. Because the default for hypothesis is actually that they're visible to everybody in the world on the web, so anybody could stumble into this page and see your annotations otherwise. So before you post a comment, make sure that you're not posting it in the public area, but that you instead choose the drop down there and choose Math Readiness, Summer 17. Make sure before you post your comment that you're posting to the Math Readiness Summer 17 group so that only we can see it. The little submit button down here at the bottom will also say post to Math Readiness. If it says post to public, don't click post, because then first of all, everybody in the world will be able to see it. Second of all, it means that I won't be able to see it in order to give you credit for it. So make sure you're posting to our group instead. So then here's the place where we can add a comment. I was confused by what the author meant by tugging on the rope. I don't know. I'm just making up a comment for now. And then you choose to post to Math Readiness Summer 17. If it's necessary at some point for you to write math in these comments, there is a way to do it, but it's kind of convoluted and I'd rather not get into it. So do the best you can. If you have to write an equation or something in this environment, do your best you can to convey to the reader what you mean. It also gives you the option to insert images, which you can do if you want to copy and paste a picture from somewhere else, but also to insert links. And we'll talk about one way I'd like for you to use these links here in a minute. But I'm just going to choose to post. And now I've posted my annotation. And so somebody reading this, somebody else in our class reading this, will see that that sentence was highlighted. And if they click on that sentence, as they're reading this page, it'll pop out your comment. And so then, if I'm, I don't know, Mark, and I'm reading this, I can say, oh, well, that's interesting. I'm going to reply to that comment. And to reply to the comment, there's a little reply button over here on the side. You can choose. And then if you add a reply right here, it gets threaded in with the previous comment. So we collectively are creating this conversation about the material here in the margins of the textbook itself. So I'll be dropping in on these conversations and interacting with you as well. You'll be interacting with one another through these replies. And that's what the reading assignments look like. The expectation, if you look in the syllabus, is that you've successfully completed a reading assignment for one of our topic areas if you submitted at least 2 comments on each of the assigned sections that are in that text. So, for example, for the arithmetic section that we saw on Blackboard a second ago, the arithmetic topic section has 2 sections to read, so 2 reading assignments, 1.1 and 1.2. So in each of those areas, the expectation is that you contribute at least 2 comments, and of those 2 comments, at least one of them has to be a new annotation. So this is something that I ran into last semester. Make sure you're not only replying to other people's comments, but that you're also posting new annotations of your own. So you can post all new annotations if you want to, but don't just reply. Make sure you're posting something original as well. And then just what I'm looking for in your comments is that your comments are focused, so they relate directly to what's in the text, and that they show some evidence of developing understanding. Right? So what I'm trying to get away from is somebody just going in and posting, I don't understand this, without any further explanation. So if you don't understand something, tell us why you don't understand something, maybe what you do understand and where the book lost you or something, right? But I'd like to see that you're making progress in your understanding of the material through your reading. And when you reply to somebody else's comment, I'm looking for whether that reply clearly and helpfully advances the question. So you don't have to necessarily answer somebody's question, but your reply should at least put them on a track or contribute something to the question, even if it's not a definitive answer. Because sometimes questions don't have definitive answers, even in math. If the question is, how do I understand something? There could be many different ways in which to do so.